Ooh, they kind of let me know that. So you can't like
Yeah,
illegally record anybody.
exactly.
That
Um, but if I had hit
it's not a
record
good spy
before,
thing.
no, it definitely isn't. No, I thought about if I could like I had an interview on here. I'm like, I wonder if I can record like hit it before and then I can record, but like I don't know if it lets people know as they come in. So,
It might
but
say it on the screen. No, it probably says recording in progress. So,
hmm,
bitch, you can't fool anyone.
no, it does say recording in progress. You're totally right. You are always right. Um, yeah, see, it says recording. Okay.
All right, Mitch, welcome to the Film Vaulters.
No. Fuck off. I've got it. Okay.
I know, but you can use that if you want. It's pretty
No, that's
funny.
actually that is good. Okay. Anyways, hey, Film Vaulters, welcome to the Film Vaulters. I'm Mitch Burns, your host. This week, I'm here with the listener of the Film Vault, Patreon subscriber, TikTok star, Andrew
Oh, God.
Martin. Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing well. The TikTok thing is very, very new. That's actually just today, and it's kind of weird.
No, 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 you're huge. I've heard people talking about you already. It's I'm kidding.
Hey, no, just one that hit like I went to sleep last night and it was nothing, and I was nothing, and now I have 40,000 views, and I'm still nothing.
Well, I like that's the thing is I have TikTok too, and I just post whatever, just random shit, nothing movie wise. I'd like to do that someday, but I'm doing the two podcasts right now. So, but
You know, I think that a
mhm,
lot of us, though, with movie knowledge, we should be on there spreading that knowledge
mhm,
because what we sit in groups talking about how we're afraid that these movies are going to be underwatched or complaining that
mhm,
nobody watches this. So, you know what? That's actually why I kind of tried to learn it because I'm kind of grumpy a
mhm.
lot of the time. And, I could be positive instead of being grumpy. So I'm trying to do that for a change.
Okay.
Spread the knowledge.
Exactly.
It's a
No, I
service a little bit, you know? You see
exactly.
something good, tell them. And that goes viral and it's something good going that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Like the movie you went viral with was like an older 1988 movie, you said. It was
Oh, yes. And it's good to bring up here too, because that movie was brought to my attention by a lot of people involved with this Film Vault family, or else I wouldn't have known about Miracle Mile from 1988. It's an
mhm.
Anthony Edwards movie. Anderson just mentioned that. I think it was like 4 episodes ago. He
Yeah.
said, and it's one that he's like, I have no idea how I hadn't seen this before. He's like,
Oh.
how did this movie escape me? Kind of thing. Greg
Mhm.
is the first one I think that watched it. And that was brought to Find Your Film. And then Bruce and Eric watched it and loved it. So I've been sitting on a copy of it for months because I just was like, okay, I'll just buy this from Kino.
Yeah.
Watched it, did a stupid TikTok on it, woke up in the morning and I'm like, good God. My favorite thing though, people like to troll and they're like, oh, I've seen that movie. And it's like, yeah, cool. But a ton of other people have not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. People when people see a movie and they see something about it, they have to say they've seen it. I mean, I'm even guilty of that. Like, oh, I've seen that one. I've seen that
You
one.
know, I did that a lot. And I
Mhm.
did that in my 20s. It's terrible. I went to film school, and I think that instills that kind of behavior a little bit
Mhm.
because it's almost like a fear of saying, no, I haven't seen it. And that, like, kind of, I realized in my 20s cut me off to learning. And through my 30s, I was still dumb. And in my 40s, I'm trying now, trying.
I'm in my 30s, so I'm still dumb.
Well,
But I'm trying.
30s is when you start undumbing, though.
Oh, I definitely agree. The last 3 years of my life have just been, I don't know. You just see so much growth once you hit like 30. Like you're like, oh my God, I'm an adult now. And I'm definitely a lot smarter than I used to be.
Like
Um,
Anderson says on the show sometimes, and he's got recordings of himself in his youth. You
mhm.
cringe sometimes when you look back at it and you're like, that was me. Those were my opinions.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Like the whole John Cho thing he brought up recently.
oh God,
It wasn't that bad, but I completely
no.
understand where he was coming from.
Well,
I
he had John Cho next to him and he was nervous.
yes,
Simple.
exactly. Exactly.
Simple.
And
Happens.
the percent chance of John Cho even remembering that, like, I mean, some things you do remember, like some little things, and you're like, oh my God, that guy was an idiot. But I really doubt um, John Cho is remembering that on the set of Missing 3. Or
No, and he comes off as a really nice guy too. I
mhm.
actually sat next to him while he was giving an interview at Swingers. It's a cafe in Los
Mm,
Angeles. One that
okay.
Anderson is actually mentioned too. This is all going to be
Mhm.
about Anderson, but
Yeah,
John Cho seemed very nice there, and I think about that whenever Anderson brings up because I'm like that dude is just really nice. He probably just like shook it off and forgot.
exactly. And I think, well, I don't know. You seem to think it sounded bad, but I didn't think it sounded as bad
No,
as
I didn't think it sounded that bad
okay.
either. I think it sounded like how you could be embarrassed. Like
Yes,
I have a close
exactly.
friend who had a kid going to school with Joel McHale's kid. My friend embarrassed himself so badly because he just had like a bro crush on Joel McHale. So it was like trying to follow him around to the point where it's almost like Joel was like, get away kind of thing. And it's like, oh no, I did
Yeah.
that on accident kind of thing. It
I
happens.
that's what nice about that is what is nice about living in Canada is we have no one famous here. So, and if they are famous, they go to Los Angeles or somewhere. So,
Oh, I
they,
actually don't miss that city, but that's how I know Anderson in the first place and seem to have like fallen into meeting so many people involved
yeah.
with this great, wonderful show.
Yes. Well, we'll get to that. So, as always, my guest this week, Andrew Martin, he picks a topic that the Film Vault podcast has done over its 20-year tenure. And today, Andrew, you have chosen.
Badass bitches.
That's right. So we'll be doing
Not
that
a
a little bit
derogatory term
later.
either. Not
Oh,
derogatory bitches. We need to say that off the top too, because
mhm,
it's a controversial term.
mhm.
And I'll call a guy a bitch too, even though we're kind of going more on like the feminine kind of thing with the characters, but there is like one of mine that would be considered not so binary. So
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
So yeah, definitely something that I was worried about at first when you said it because it's been they did this topic in 2010. So it's been, 13 years since they did this topic and things have definitely changed a little bit. But I think it's as we'll get to, I think it's more emboldening than it is um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely is. I was actually thinking that myself too. Like when I'm talking about bitches, these are not people that you're annoyed by.
Mhm.
These are badass bitches that you look at and you're like, fuck yeah, you're awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I
what I'm
would kill
thinking
to
of
be
with
any
it.
of them.
Exactly. They would kill
Mhm.
me too for being me. Maybe. Just, I don't know. One of them might. My first one that I'm going to talk about, she would kill either of us just for existing.
Oh, I like that.
Mhm.
So, Andrew, you have a pretty bold claim. You say that probably besides Geo, you've been listening like one of the longest listeners of all time.
Well, you had somebody on here after I mentioned that to you because I listened to the whole Geo episode and I'm like, you know
Mhm.
what? Because what he mentions, I started listening when they thought nobody was listening.
Yeah.
Pete was listening at a similar time. When they talk about
Oh,
the HD radio stations that they had in Los Angeles, I used to listen to 97.1. They talk about Tom Likas and Danny Bonaducci and all that stuff. I did deliveries in Los Angeles, listening to that. And also, after I found the podcast, and the statute of limitations is way far gone on this. I listened to the Film Vault while watering a marijuana garden that was being professionally grown for dispensaries.
nice.
And that's how I like listen to all their episodes, like repeatedly sometimes too. There's some of them that I've they're not disposable. I've listened to them multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
I have too. Like there's a lot of episodes that I've gone back to or I definitely used to when I first started listening. I was like, oh, you know what? I just want to listen to that episode again. I was like, because they are so fucking funny, I just can't help but laugh at a lot of their stuff. So
and when they started doing this, there honestly weren't other podcasts. Like there weren't many out there. Like when they talk about how they went onto iTunes and they were like number one for a
mhm,
little bit, it's because there wasn't a ton of competition out there. Like
yeah,
what they did was pretty unique. And what
yeah.
Anderson was doing with the After Disaster before, I wasn't listening to that. I Loveline, when he talks about that, I was listening to though. like back
Yeah.
when I was in LA. Because again, like putting on the radio, I'd listen to that and would hear this guy putting drops in sometimes.
Some
So,
good drops that Brian stole.
well, yes, and I used to listen to Corolla too.
Yeah. I feel like I should have my Film Vault card taken from me sometimes because I never listened to Loveline at all. I never listened to Corolla at all. I
You're
don't.
Canadian though. Loveline, how much was Loveline in Canada though?
I don't know because I didn't really hear it talked about. And sometimes when I bring up the Film Vault or people ask about it, I say, well, this guy's from Adam Carolla. And people are kind of like, who? But
Did
I
you
was
have
like,
Comedy Central?
yeah, definitely did. But like, I don't know how big it was here. I remember watching The Man Show, but I don't remember Carolla. I just remember Kimmel.
Okay,
um,
that's fair
so
though. There's some things there's some distinct things that I remember from Corolla though. Number
yeah,
one was at an Applebee's. They had Loveline was on MTV as well as being on the radio,
yeah.
and I will never forget. Like I was out with a bunch of friends and I turned and I saw TV and it just said under Corolla in caption, "Boyfriend won't touch my inverted nipples," and like that's I've always had that associated with Corolla, like my whole
That's
life.
awesome. That's amazing. That is my kind of humor. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, and I guess just to let everyone know, it is pouring rain right now. And I am in my patio area. You probably can't hear it that much. I don't know if you can, Andrew, at all, but
It might start raining next to me, so I'm not even sure. Next to me,
yeah,
to my left, I have the ocean though, and I can see this ocean liner out there and stuff.
I
I'm
hate
just
you.
watching the waves come in. It's very nice.
That's awesome. It was a beautiful day, so I said, "Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to record outside." And then it just started raining like 40 minutes ago, and I was like, "Fuck." So, never mind. And the other thing I was going to say, I also have a sore throat today that just kind of came on out of nowhere. I don't think it's noticeable, but I might sound a little more deeper than I usually am. So,
Just
or
deep and gruff.
deep. Welcome to the Film
There
Vaulters.
you go. You'll just be extra sexy. It's all good.
Sexy indifference. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Andrew. Like you used to have a podcast.
I still
Tell
do
us
it
all about it.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I used to do a podcast with an ex for a long time,
Hmm.
and then it became kind of a solo podcast. A little bit tougher to do, like on
Hmm.
your own. Did it
But you did it
partially that way.
well.
I try. It's tough doing it kind of in a vacuum a little bit, but I don't know. I'm trying to turn over a less grumpy leaf. So I'm trying to rebrand at this time too. I did have something called Andrew Watches Movies
Hmm.
before, but that was more about me.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to rebrand as something about others. So I'm trying to build a cult a little bit, and it's called the
Nice.
Cult of Cinema.
Oh yeah. Okay,
And
I knew that.
yeah, and that's what that's where I had a TikTok thing go off,
Hmm.
and I'm building a podcast from there, YouTube thing. And I always liked writing. I did have essay writing I was doing with Andrew Watches Movies, but then I don't know, I went through some life events, father died, moved around and stuff, and kind of it I'm not there all the time doing it. It's kind of
Yeah.
spotty. And with podcasting, it's tough sometimes if you're not going
Yeah.
to do it every single week. And it got
Yeah.
tough. So
Yeah.
that's kind of, I don't know. I just do it for myself and for fun. And I don't know, all my friends like growing up, or not growing up, but in Los Angeles when I was in my 20s, they did tell me I should do talk radio because that 97.1 station was big and I
Okay.
listened to it a lot. So they told me that. And then podcasting came out. So I'm like, you know what? I'll do this and yap about movies because I'm really passionate about them.
Hmm.
I
And you
got to
have
say, though,
that. Sorry, you go.
well, Anderson and Greg are two of the people that really inspired me to do it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I like Anderson's a very important person to me
Hmm.
in that kind of way. Like he's somebody that really has inspired me. And I mean, I worked on groupers for him every day for free, like doing anything anybody would tell me because I love and respect the dude so much. Like
Hmm.
anybody out there that listens to this, if you met him in life, you would too.
Yeah, yeah. And we've never met, and I definitely hope to change that someday. But we've had multiple phone conversations, and he's so great to me. and it's totally different than the podcast kind of vibe he sometimes gives, like when he's giving shit to Brandon. It's Brandon, Jesus.
It actually depends how gruff of a person you are, because I can get Anderson grumpy sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm Canadian, so I'm definitely I'm definitely not. I'm a people pleaser more than I want to be, but
You might agree with me on something.
mhm.
I think Anderson likes horror way more than he admits, because he like in some of the things he doesn't consider horror are
Mhm.
horror.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Like,
think that he's looking at mainstream slasher franchise things, and I can
mhm,
understand not liking those and being like, I don't like Saw, I don't like Eli Roth. But then
sure.
he'll talk about like Martyrs. I
Mhm.
came to that movie because of Anderson.
Yeah.
Or I just got around to watching Buzzard.
Oh, and I haven't seen it
Oh,
yet. Yeah.
that's on Tubi. That is an amazing movie. And he says that's one of his favorite from the last decade. I
Mhm.
say it's an indie horror film.
Well, and even with like the things he responds to with like the Craig S. Zoller films, like Dragged Across Concrete, and some of that, like he really likes borderline violent and horror stuff, and like I, I want to bring up a Serbian film just because I just watched it for the first time.
Oh, why'd you do that to yourself?
I know.
What?
Because I'm in this horror group and we assign each other a movie each week, and it was my
Oh,
birthday, and
that's right.
yeah, so I said, well, we're gonna do it. Let's watch it. And I thought it'd be one of those movies where it's like, oh, everybody says it's so bad, but then it's not that bad, but it is that bad. Like it is. That end, oh my God, I'll never get that out of my mind. And it's something I definitely didn't need to see, especially having two sons. Um, yeah,
I haven't
no,
seen the whole thing. I will not
don't,
see the whole thing. I've seen
don't.
parts of that movie. I've seen enough of that movie. Reading the parental guide for that movie should be
Hmm.
enough, because
Hmm.
that parental guide, if you look at it on IMDb, that thing is really in depth.
I started to look at it because I was like, you know what? I think I just want to spoil it for myself so I'm prepared when I was getting deeper into the movie. And I'm like, no, no, just do it. Andrew talks
Oh,
about it. I mean, Andrew, oh my God, Anderson. I'm sorry, guys. I'm out of it a little bit today. But and then no, I just wish I hadn't. All my friends were kind of mad at me for a hot minute, like, why the fuck did you make us watch this? Um, but
you know which one you should have? Okay, there's a movie that's almost like it's kind of it's kind of as extreme as
mhm.
Serbian film, but it's better. Did you
What's
watch
that?
Inside ever?
No.
Oh, Inside is it's a home invasion movie where they're trying to steal a baby on Christmas Eve. The baby hasn't been born yet, and they have some scissors. They want to take it from inside. It is something else. There's a lot of blood in that movie. It's pretty extreme. It's so much more worthwhile, I bet, than Serbian film is in the end.
Okay.
Because this one,
Inside movie.
yeah, that one you can fuck with people too, because it is a Christmas movie. It's Christmas Eve and everything. It's the
Mhm.
most. It's it'll tear you apart.
So
It's very
French
good though.
movie from
Yep,
2007. Okay.
it's a
Well,
very good movie,
I will add
but
it to the watch list.
it is a hard watch. But it doesn't. I have problems with things that involve children in movies. That like I'm somebody that will watch extreme things when it's happening to kids. Solo is another one I'm not going to watch. Like that's on
Hmm.
my list. It's tough, and that's what I think you're talking about with your two boys with Serbian film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Definitely. Definitely. I haven't seen
anything to
Solo,
adults.
but
Salo got the filmmaker assassinated basically because the people thought that it was so real what he was doing to the children and how offensive it was to the church.
I had no idea. I had no
Uh,
idea he
well,
was killed.
yeah, Pasolini
Oh.
is his name. I almost want to say it's Pablo, but I know that I'm wrong with that right there, and I don't want to look it up. Pablo Pasolini almost sounds like Pablo Picasso, but watch me
Yeah.
be right.
Yeah. Um, so you were talking a bit about groupers. What are some of the things that you did on groupers?
I
And is that the
okay,
first time you met Anderson?
yeah, that's the first time I met Anderson.
Hmm.
Um, I've met so many people involved with those shows through the years. I think the only person that I have not met and talked to is Dr. Drew.
Oh, okay.
I've been on After Disaster.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
And have you met Brian in person or no?
I have.
Oh,
I've been interviewed by Brian for a moment while I was on the set of Groupers. Groupers,
cool.
honestly, when Anderson says that I did whatever, like I did everything there, I was every department getting stuff for everybody and also doing the set design or set design, set dressing kind of stuff. And also like painting the walls, getting the graffiti off everything, cleaning shit. Basically, I showed up first thing and I would leave when Anderson was leaving.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, and such probably great experience. If I don't know how much film work you've done before that, but
None. It's actually the only one I've worked on.
interesting. I don't know. I would just love that experience. In Canada, it's so different because it's nothing like that is happening a stone's throw away. I'm literally on a farm right now with nothing nearby. So I don't know. I kind of love that, and I think I would hate it after a while too. But it's just I hate the cold, so I could live there any day. But um, so I guess what are some of your favorite movies? If let's go down that road, tell us a little bit about your tastes and.
Let's see. Shit, favorite movie. Oh God, that I forgot to like think of off the top of my head. Okay, Pulp Fiction is probably my favorite movie all time. I saw that in the theater like opening day, but that's such a boring answer. I love Vertigo.
Okay.
Silver Linings Playbook. Have you seen Vertigo, by the way?
Yeah. Yes.
Have you seen Decision to Leave?
Yes. And I
Okay.
didn't like Decision to Leave.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it
Yeah,
was
I
a
think we
really good
talked about
Vertigo
it.
type movie. The cinematography was great for that one too. That's not going to be on my list though.
Yeah.
Parasite would be of that or above that, and that's like one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. I still like Parasite better than Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know people have been saying that's the best movie to come out in the last decade. I still think it's probably Parasite,
I do too.
personally.
I do too. I love Parasite, and every time I see that poster, I want to rewatch it with maybe because it's so new, everything everywhere all at once. I'm kind of like I don't know if I have like an urge to see it again, but I don't know. Probably down the line I will for sure. It is a great
That one's
movie, but
it's fun to watch that one with new people and to see like if somebody hasn't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once. I've enjoyed showing that to people and seeing their reaction because it brings joy out.
unless those
So,
new people are your parents who do not understand a fucking thing that's going on. Um,
well, my mom liked it.
that's good. That's good.
So, I don't
My
know.
parents my parents forgot they saw it like 3 months after.
Oh,
Um,
that's too bad.
yeah.
Let's let's see.
um,
Silver Linings Playbook I mentioned.
mhm.
That's one of my favorites and that one's a little bit different and I don't know if it gets the kind of respect that it deserves, I think. I think that's David O. Russell's best film that he did.
People
And
seem to dislike it and kind of shit on it now. And when it first
I
came out, it was
know.
like, oh, it's amazing. I don't know if they think the portrayal of mental health is wrong or something, but I still love that movie, so I don't get it.
I'm kind of mentally ill. And I thought that was one of the best portrayals of mental illness I've seen. I
Hmm.
mean, it might not be exactly accurate to how the actions are, but how the feelings are inside
Hmm.
represented. Oh, I thought it was dead on. And
Yeah,
just like basically two people with BPD falling in love.
yeah,
I mean, he's
exactly.
bipolar. I loved it. And in the end, like, I thought it was just such a sweet movie.
Yeah,
Like
I do
in De
too.
Niro's little speech at the end to him, it always makes me tear up. So I kind of love that movie. And
That
then
was
I
one
guess
of De
Taxi
Niro's.
Driver.
Oh, I love
that,
Taxi
that
Driver.
that would be my other one if I'm going off my I think that's in my top 5 on Letterboxd.
Yeah, yeah. Um, So, do your movie tastes? This is one I ask everyone. Do your movie tastes align more with Brian or Anderson?
Oh, Anderson. But I
Yeah,
love horror, but I think it's funny that I don't think any of my top 5 films would be considered horror.
yeah. I mean, Hereditary's in my top five, I think. So, but other than that, the rest are not considered horror.
Old Boy is close for me. Is that horror? I mean, he's
Um,
becoming a monster through that movie.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I mean, people would probably say action first, but it's it's a fine line.
But I do have my favorite horror movie of all time on our list, though. I actually got a chance to fit that in. So that one I kind of left off like talking about right here too.
Okay.
On the Badass Bitches.
Perfect. Badass Bitches, which is, I'm going to ask you right now, what drew you to the top 5? This one. I think we kind of already.
Because honestly, that one, you sent me a list and immediately I thought of like 5 like right there, and some of them do not get talked about nearly enough. So I wanted to bring it up. And I don't know, it seemed like a really good topic. And I'm a little bit that's a little bit, I'm a kind of cantankerous person, so it seems like a good topic for me.
Yeah,
that's what I'll say.
No, I love the topic. It when you first brought it to me, I was like, well, fuck, I already know who my number 1 is. I already know another one, and I could. It was one where I could have built my top 5 in 30 seconds, and
that's kind of what I did.
But then I started looking and researching, and then looking at all the movies I've seen, and I'm like, oh my God, I loved her from and this. And so it was really interesting to build my list. My list is a little different, and we'll get to that. So
that's good.
Yeah, I will explain it. But so Bryan Anderson originally did this on the Ace Network, July 8th, 2010. Do you remember listening to this episode, or?
Oh, I do remember listening to this, and I think that what I remember though, I might have listened to it like when it was originally on, and it could have been one of them that attracted me. But I know I listened to it on a Patreon one because
me too.
I've listened to everything that he's put on Patreon. So like,
I'm surprised it's one they haven't redone. But
I think it might be because they're afraid of the bitches thing right now. But all they got to do is say, like, we're not talking about people that annoy us. We're talking about people we would love to hang out with and be.
Yeah. And I do consider myself like a misogynist. Oh my God.
You consider yourself a misogynist? You're going to say that in today's day and age? Oh my God. Mitch,
no, not even.
On yourself here.
I did not mean that. Jeez, my head is, I think I'm probably getting sick, but I do consider myself a borderline feminist. I love women. I am, I don't want to, but so that is kind of me. And like, that's why I thought when you first said it, I'm like, oh, do that. And then I'm like, no, yeah, we're definitely going to do that. It's, we have to. I think any woman listening, and you know what, you can email us if you are offended. I would love to have that conversation and apologize, because that's just who I am. But I think any woman listening would understand what we're going for. So yeah.
It's not what people would say, like the bitch, how it was used in the 80s. It's used a different way now. And I think that it should be used now. Actually, I've gotten like banned from Facebook for actually using it what I think is the correct way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, if you're going to like use it in a derogatory way, I wouldn't use it against a woman. I'd use it against a dude anyway. You know what I mean? I don't think that it should be used that way anyway, because there's more creative things. So I don't know, but Badass Bitches, I think, is cool. I actually even have that's what I was going to say. I have a Spotify mix I made, like Badass Bitches, the Underground, because I like Riot Girl music and stuff. So like Bikini Kill would use the bitches thing like this.
See, you listen to all these bands that I have never heard of and just aren't my style.
Do you know the band Hole? Or Courtney Love? Courtney Love would be considered like Riot Girl music back when she was in the 90s. Hole was the band she was in when she was married to Kurt Cobain.
Oh, okay. See, and it's just
I can go whole history. Like I'm like, I do like Brian a bit because he likes music so much.
Yeah.
And music, I do like a little bit more than movies. Like I know I know way too much info on punk rock and the whole history of that.
Yeah.
Actually, before we get into this, I forgot. I wanted to mention something about Bald Brian that I've always just been like, man, that's kind of awesome that this happened too. His benefit for his cancer. My favorite band headlined that for Bald Brian.
Really? Who?
Bad Religion.
Oh, Jesus.
They played for Bald Brian. Wow. And that even makes me like my favorite band more because they helped out somebody else that I love.
Yeah, exactly. It's when, like, the Venn diagram and two of your things mesh together, right?
Yep.
Um, that's no, that's awesome. I didn't know that. Um, you before we get into it, you also were saying that we might as well air the dirty laundry here. You had issues with Geo. I mean, some of the
No, I
things
don't
he
have issues
said.
with Geo.
No,
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 no, no, no, no.
not issues with Geo, but issues with the episode that him and I did. There was things that
Oh,
um
oh
you
no,
wanted to
it was
call
just
him on.
okay. And Geo, if he's listening, the only reason that I would want to call Geo on any factual thing being wrong is because he knows so damn much.
I just
So it's
want you to get a
pretty much a
long email.
compliment. It's pretty much a compliment saying that he got something wrong. But he said that Pennywise's second album was like the alien one and everything. And that's what they were on Loveline for and everything. And I was like, no, they were around since like way before that. And that was like their seventh album. That was all. It was just a Pennywise thing.
No,
And the whole thing.
totally. But it was enough for you to message me, so I had to bring
because
it to the program.
because it's just the one and only thing that ever could be found because dude knows a lot. He knows a
Yeah.
lot.
He
I
will
mean,
probably text me about this once he hears the episode.
Gio would actually like he would be like, I like that dude and I fucking hate that dude because I don't really like the Marvel so much.
Mhm.
But I'm trying to let it go a little bit. Every now and again it's gonna boil over with me, but
Yeah.
I'm trying hard to concentrate on other things.
Well, as long
But
as you
but
don't
other than
call anyone
that,
a clown.
no, I wouldn't call anybody a clown. No, 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 no. I'm just trying to with that. It's because actors get lost to it. That's really what it is with me. And I got upset the other day that we're gonna lose Mia. Anyway,
Yeah, Mia Goth has just been signed on to the Blade reboot. We have a discussion going, and things were taken the wrong way,
this
and
is very much behind the scenes. I didn't
very
even say
much.
the thing that were taken wrong. I thought I did for a moment, but I went back. I'm like, no, 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 no. Whenever I say anything about Marvel fans, I don't mean a specific person ever. I just mean a whole collective. And
For
usually
sure.
I'm talking about Marvel fan online.
Yes,
That's
like
the
when
whole thing.
you.
Even
Mhm.
Geo would understand that. He'd be like, yep, yep, I get that. I get that.
It's the
Like,
same people who bullied the I can't remember his name, but the
yeah,
boy
and I
from
get to it.
Star
And I don't
Wars.
think that
And
Geo's part of that. I think he's fine. I think that he thinks deeply about it, like in like at home and everything. And he's not that kind of
no,
arm of the Marvel fan. But man,
no,
you know what I'm talking about.
yeah. And the thing I love about Geo is he's not that kind of person that's like, well, they did it this way in the comic book, so I don't like the movies for doing this. No, he loves both. He's like, I like this and I like this, and then sometimes he'll be like, well, I didn't love this, but I respect their decision to go that way, blah blah blah, right? It's the people in the comment section of Star Wars groups and stuff like that where I had to end up leaving the group because I couldn't take the negativity, or the name calling, and especially when it comes to, like, we're talking about when it comes to women, like the trailer dropped for Miss Marvel's the other day, and apparently it's one of the most disliked MCU trailer ever. And I'm like, why? It might be great. It might be better than what we've had recently, Ant-Man and Quantumania and Doctor Strange and stuff like that. So it'd be great. I don't know. Don't get it.
It might be. Okay. Here was my thing. And I've really been exploring this because I sit at home alone a lot, like in this condo. My whole problem really it's more like the Miss Marvel thing. What it would trigger to me is where's Brie Larson been? She hasn't done anything since The Room. When has she been in anything since Marvel? That's the whole train of thought that I have. I
Mhm.
realize that now, and I'm like, that's not. I got to concentrate on that whole thing because that's not so bad, and
Yeah.
just that's really what it is, and
It,
not let it
it
go other places.
it does suck. And once an actor goes to Marvel, it does suck up a lot of their time. And it is hard for people like us who, love movies, and her performance in The Room is fucking phenomenal. So, and we want more like that. We'd love to see more of that. And while her performance in, the MCU is affable, is affable the right word? It's
It's
a good
fine.
Yeah, it's a good performance. It's it's not it's nothing award worthy that we could get from her. But
Nope, but she's making her choice to get money and everything, and you know what? So be it. I just miss
yeah,
Paul Rudd, but
that's true. Yeah. I wonder what he would be doing. Like I know he did that TV show, which I didn't watch, but I wonder
the
what
Netflix series,
I think was it Netflix or Apple? I can't remember, but it was splitting or where he was
something.
like two
He
different
played
people.
two
But
people. Yeah, I
yeah.
know which one you're talking about. I think it was Netflix.
Yeah.
It's a
Um
whole other can of worms.
exactly. Well, let's get into our top five. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay. All right.
All
Number
right.
five for Andrew Martin. Top five badass bitches.
Yes, and I said that this one would kill us just for existing,
Hmm.
and she would kill anybody basically. She does like love though and everything, and we
Hmm.
found that out in her first appearance in Bride of Chucky. I'm talking about Tiffany, played by
Tiffany.
Jennifer Tilly in those movies. I think that she's fantastic. I love her in those, and I kind of liked the first season of Chucky. I thought that she was great in that too, and it's
Okay.
even super meta where she plays both Tiffany and Jennifer Tilly in that universe.
That
It's
is
funny.
so cool. That is so cool. That she does that. I recently 2 years, 3 years ago, whatever, watched all the Chuckies, and she is a fucking highlight of those movies for sure.
What do you think of Seed of Chucky?
Seed of Chucky.
It's got
Is that
John
the
Waters in it even.
Yeah, is that the one where he has the kid? Like
Yes.
it's not as terrible as everyone made it out to be, but it's not great.
Oh, I think that one in a few years is going to be looked at fondly. Like when
Hmm.
people are like finding that movie, I think that it's one that will be reassessed. I like Seed of Chucky a lot.
I
It's a bonkers comedy. You can't look at it as a Chucky horror movie. You got to
Yeah.
look at it more as just like even a Chucky spoof film is what it is.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. Yeah.
So what is
Um
your number 5?
yeah, so my number five, and this is where I'll tell you what I'm doing. So when we brought up badass bitches, I immediately started thinking of, you know, the action stars, right? I didn't necessarily think of horror or anything like that, but you think of the women who can take on shit and fight in a war or whatever, right? Maybe fight against aliens. I don't know. Um, but then
Okay,
I
I
was like,
understand what you're saying.
yeah, but then I was starting to think like, well, there's also the badass bitches who have been through something traumatic and they handle it, or they're strong-willed and they get through these situations. So I have a five, and then I have a five B, and I will have two for each one. So I'm kind of doing a top 10.
This is
Um,
very film vault. This is very Anderson of you.
I know I just couldn't. So
I'm glad I
my
didn't do it because two people cannot do this thing. Only one can for it to be on brand. If two people do it, it does not
mhm.
work. So I'm happy that one of us did.
I normally wouldn't do this. So anyway, so my original one, the five or like the four or whatever, is going to be my kind of my badass bitch, and then the five B will be probably a woman who has been through some sort of sexual assault or domestic situation and has persevered, and I respect them, and they're a badass bitch to me because we know that is hard and yeah. So I just wanted to throw some respect to that side of the badass bitch. So my number five is, and then again, this is my most recent pick, and it is very recent, but Holy Spider is now streaming on Netflix. So in the States, not in Canada, but most of my audience is from the States. So on Netflix now, there's a movie that came out 2022 last year, international film called Holy Spider. And the female's name is Rahimi, and she is played by Zar Amir Ebrahimi. I probably got that totally wrong. And It's a crime drama thriller. It's based on true events, and she goes to Iran to track down a killer, someone who is killing sex workers. And as you can tell, in it's the Iranian holy city of Mashhad, and as you can probably assume, in Iran, sex work is probably not thought of very highly. It's only recently become thought of more in better light here. So it is such an incredible movie. Um, you think there's an ending, and then there's a whole last act where your jaw is just on the floor. So Rahimi is my number 5. Definitely go watch this movie. She is a badass bitch. She's great. And then my number 5B is a woman who her name is Jessie, from the 2017 movie Gerald's Game, played by Gugino. Carla Gugino. And I love her.
Guadagnino?
No, Carla Gugino from like the Spy Kids movies. She was the mom, and I love her. She's such a good actress now. Like she's been in so much recently, and I love her. And that is based on a Stephen King novel. And the last, it's like a mystery. You're kind of wondering what's going on. She's going through some sort of sexual assault. There's definitely some like imagery there where she might not be a what am I trying to say? She might not be like kind of like a reliable narrator, and you can definitely pull things out of this movie that you're not 100% sure
Well,
what's going on, but you know it has um a meaning,
I know
right?
what you're
Like,
talking about with this too. She's
yeah,
somebody that's in a situation where she can't trust herself because she's pushed to a limit that might even cause her to hallucinate.
exactly. So, um, and I think this movie shows assault and oh, sorry, dogs barking. I think this movie shows assault in a way where it doesn't necessarily show it, but you know she's gone through it. And then the last act, I think, really hits home for anyone. Um, and I almost brings tears to my eyes to even think of like that last act. I just love it so much, the final moments, and I love her. So, anyways, so that's my 5B. Sorry for going on for so long.
Oh, no. It's your podcast. And I don't mind. I got time.
It
I
is
like Gerald's
our
Game a
podcast.
lot.
Me
Oh,
too.
excellent. Yeah, I like that movie a lot. That one I think deals with an issue with abuse too that doesn't even get talked about a lot because it's
Yeah.
marital
Yeah.
abuse. And a lot of the
Yeah.
time that gets swept under the rug because people think of uh, people in a marriage as property sometimes. And even some
Right.
of the vows sound that way.
Yeah.
I like movies that deal with that whole thing. They
I
even
agree.
tried that. Yeah. Like the whole thing, you can still go through things, even if you're married. Consent
Mhm.
still matters.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Exactly. Don't 100%. So thank you for sometimes I can't get the words out the right way. So you definitely added to that. So thank you. So
hey,
your number,
all good. I need to see Holy Spider too. I saw that pop up on Netflix the other day.
yeah,
I almost put it on, but haven't had a chance yet. All right.
it's gonna blow you away. But
I can't
or
wait.
maybe it's not because I hyped it up so much.
No,
So
I've heard it hyped from other people before too,
yeah,
a little bit. I know that I need to see Holy Spider.
yeah, definitely a high recommend from me. So your number 4.
My number 4 is a badass bitch in a few movies. Some people think that she's this in more. That well, I should say they. I'm saying it wrong actually because this one you would refer to as they or actually he at the time, and it's something I think is actually misunderstood nowadays. Even people don't even understand this drag queen thing out there when they're talking about it. They don't
Mm-hmm.
understand burlesque. They don't understand any element of
Yeah.
what's going on. But I understand Divine. And oh, Divine is a badass bitch. She is in. She makes her first appearance in Mondo Trasho in 1969. Perfect year for Divine to come out. Then she is also Lady Divine in Multiple Maniacs in 1970. Most people would know her though from Pink Flamingos.
Mm-hmm.
She is, or They are in John Waters movies. Actually, I also think Divine would be like, call me whatever. Just watch my fucking movies. It would be kind of it. And would not care anyway. I mean, Divine eats shit in the movie. Do you know what Pink Flamingos is about?
I've obviously heard Anderson talk about it. It's just not one I've gotten around to. Yeah.
Okay. One thing about Pink Flamingos, I really think the guys that did South Park love it because it's got that tone to the movie all the way through, even though it's from 72. This movie, it's so great. It's almost like this contest documentary type thing for these people to prove themselves to be the filthiest person in the world, like the biggest dirtbag, the biggest scumbag in the entire thing. And it's following around these people. Divine is the biggest scumbag on earth and trying to keep that title. There's murder in the thing. They have framed pictures of the Manson family, like everywhere, like family portraits almost, like on walls. If you look at the backs of things, it's just so good. It's so wrong. I love Pink Flamingos. Like
I definitely have to watch it. I have basically a list of Anderson movies that I'm just trying to work my way through.
Well, I would also say with the actress, drag queen actress Divine, which more people should watch. They understand the whole thing too. That Divine was a performer. And hell, that's not bad for like reading books to kids as a performer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't get with people. Anyway, Polyester. That one is amazing too. That's the other great one that Divine did, I think. I like Female Trouble. Hairspray is good. Divine, unfortunately, only lived to be 42 or 43 years old.
Oh, really? Yeah, so I didn't know she'd passed or they'd passed.
Yeah, it's this is what I mean. I think Divine would be like, just call me whatever you want to there, like you're trying, like thing, because Divine was a very like a progress thing too. I think somebody that really like got an underground audience to kind of think different.
Yeah, so I respect all those people who at the beginning of cinema, did something. Like I just recently watched the Marilyn Monroe movie where
Blonde.
Her like an actual Marilyn Monroe, the one where she's acting and then the two men pretend to be women.
You're talking about one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Yeah.
Some Like It Hot.
Some Like It Hot. Thank you. That's what I was gonna say, but I don't trust my brain right now.
Film Vault should teach you it's okay to be wrong every now and again. If you misspeak, but no, it happens. You misspeak and it happens. It just does.
It does.
Like, and it's fine.
Yeah,
if that's the worst thing that happens, you're good.
100%. And I just love like that those actors took that step in a movie from the 50s, 60s, black and white, and they dressed as women, and it's not really taboo. Like you can watch that movie today and not really be offended by anything. There's not
there's some slight misogyny in the movie
for sure,
and everyone will bring up like how Marilyn was treated during a scene, but there's like two sides to that whole thing. The where's the bourbon scene, that's actually that's the line that she couldn't get out. And that's where Tony Curtis got upset and Wilder, and there was the whole there's the controversy about that, just that little teeny tiny part there. Where's the bourbon? Because I guess they could have kept it though, because I guess what she kept saying was, where's that bourbon? Is it that different? You know what I mean?
When you're a director or a writer, sometimes you
Yeah, but I love that movie, and nobody's perfect.
No, nobody's perfect. So my number 4 is the wonderful Clarice Starling, played by Jodie Foster in The Silence of the Lambs. Clarice Starling has been played by multiple people, Julianne Moore, obviously, and then the Hannibal show, or not Hannibal show. There's a Clarice Starling show, and she is in Hannibal, but she's a badass bitch, and she went through some stuff that was pretty incredible. I obviously love The Silence of the Lambs, top 10 probably movies for me, maybe top 20. I love that movie.
Agreed.
And obviously Anthony Hopkins is great, but I think Jodie Foster is she plays the role incredibly well. to the point where I didn't mind Julianne Moore in Hannibal, but she can't do what Jodie Foster did. And
No, can you
I
imagine saying that about Julianne Moore too? Being like, yeah, I'm so
right.
disappointed that Julianne Moore was in it.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
agree with you too.
Exactly. And I love her, Julianne Moore, and ever like I love her so much, but she just isn't uh
There's
what's her
something
name?
about
Jodie
the
Foster.
performance that Jodie had, and I think a little bit has to do with Jodie's stature, because she was so
Hmm.
small, like
Hmm.
around everything in that film. Even though in the end she's so big, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's why I think it works, especially like the scenes where they're looking at the corpses, the medical scene where all the doctors almost want to squeeze her out and make her even smaller. That's what I
Yeah.
think makes that movie so good and her performance so good, because she just goes with it, and the body language that she has as
Hmm.
Clarice just works, and that ending makes her so triumphant.
Hmm.
How many women do you think got into true crime based on that?
Yeah. Well, I've heard that the FBI numbers for women just went up
Yes,
because
they
of that
did.
role, and that's a feat in itself, right? More women in those kind of roles is great. Um,
It's
and then
because
my
that's the big thing about representation that people talk
exactly.
about today. When you put somebody in there like that, they're like, you know what, I could do that shit too.
Exactly.
So
Is to look at a movie for somebody who doesn't feel like they're represented, and to see somebody in that role and they're like, well, if they can do it, like, and maybe I could do it. I could do that. So I love that. So my number four B, her name is Hunter, played by Haley Bennett in the 2019 film Swallow, psychological thriller, and it is another film that has I gotta think of this word I'm thinking of. I'm gonna cut this, but it's you gotta help me. It's a word where it's like symbolism. That's the
metaphor.
word. Yeah, right. Thank you. Metaphor. I knew it was an M word. Okay.
You're welcome.
So Hunter, played by Haley Bennett in the movie Swallow. It's a movie that definitely had a lot of metaphors and symbolism, maybe for suicide and harm, harm to yourself, and it also has that domestic violence, and it shows like a marriage where things are not going well, and it is a really powerful and moving film, and I wish Haley Bennett was more of a household name, because her performance in this movie is incredible. So I love this movie. I think everyone should check it out. And yeah, so my number four, Clarice Starling, and then 4B, Hunter from the movie Swallow. So your number
I enjoyed
three.
Swallow as well.
Oh, okay. So you
All
did
right.
see it.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's a good movie.
Awesome. It is.
I have a question for you though before I go to my number three.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your only Jodie Foster?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna give you a 4C, and
Okay.
I'm or my three. I don't know. It goes with yours though. In 1988, Jodie Foster played Sarah Tobias. And this was based on a true story about a woman who was raped in a bar, going through a lot of trauma, but is brave enough to take the stand against people. In
Okay.
1988's The Accused, which Jodie
Right.
Foster also won Best Actress for,
Yes.
same as Silence of the Lambs.
I've seen Accused, but it was so long ago that it's one I need to rewatch. But great pick. I completely forgot about that.
I thought when you brought up Clarice, I'm like, oh, he's doing the trauma thing there too. I'm like, nobody remembers The Accused. It's a
Yeah.
good movie too, though.
Yeah, it
But
is. And I even forgot it. But
well, my it kind of goes with my number three as well, and I do think no, well, no, my number two doesn't go through a rape at all, but my
right.
number three does. Have you seen the movie Revenge from 2017?
Yes, I love that movie.
The movie is fantastic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And Anderson
Jen.
loves it too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I haven't seen another. Has the director done another movie? Because it was her first. No, she does not have another one yet.
Okay.
Um, yeah, Coralie Frigette.
Okay.
But yeah, Jen, the main character in this, who it's so creepy what this guy does. He's a
Mhm.
rich guy that basically thinks that he owns this. She's really hot too, and they point that out like through this thing, because you can't use that excuse like, well, she was hot, she was asking for it, kind of thing. Because if
Mhm.
you do, what happens to the guys that take advantage of Jen? That should happen to you, especially
Yeah.
the thing that happens to the foot in the movie. Oh
Oh,
my god,
yes. Yes.
that foot thing was just phenomenal. I loved it. I actually worked
Mm,
at a theater when this was out, and we had it. We kept it for an extra week even. It was
nice.
fun seeing like people would walk out during a scene, and I was like at the concession thing, and I just kind of yell over the foot thing, and they're always like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Yep." That sent people out of the theater because this is a bloody movie, but it's a really good rape revenge movie. And the main character is such a badass, like with the
Yeah.
branding the beer can branding.
Yes, that's
Oh,
exactly what I was thinking of.
it's so well done. I love revenge, and it's one that I don't think enough people saw.
No, I
Like when
agree. I
it's
think
on
it went to
Shutter.
Shutter. Yeah,
Yeah, it's on
exactly.
Shutter.
Yeah.
That's who put it out. It's one of the first ones that they put out at Shutter Studios as well.
And another actress who I wish we saw more because that performance is great.
Yeah, it says her
She
name's
was
Ingrid in the thing, but it's not. It's like I went and watched some scenes too. At least in the translation, she's Jen.
okay.
But anyway, it's
Um,
Matilda Anna.
yeah, she's definitely kind of stuck her foot in horror, but I remember her in a classic horror story, which she was good as well. But um, yeah, and the oh my gosh, I just got out of it. The director Coralie Farjit, she has
Yes,
a movie coming out soon. It's in post production, so it's got
good.
Dennis Quaid and Margaret Wally Demi Moore. So I don't know what that'll be like, but
Good. Well, she waited a while, and COVID happened and everything too,
true.
since it came out. So it probably delayed her next thing. But she deserves a really big project after Revenge, because that was a very low budget film
Hmm.
that utilized limited location and limited actors very
Yeah,
well. It was very tense the whole way through.
for
And
sure.
I love her revenge that she gets. Okay, here's what I wanted to mention too. I almost forgot. Rape revenge movies are controversial, right?
Hmm.
Like a little bit like I Spit on Your Grave, things like that.
Yeah.
Why are they so controversial?
Well,
Because I know
be-
they're showing a traumatic thing happen, but I've got like this is almost a rhetorical question for you on this.
mhm.
And here's the real question I have: why can't we stand to see female revenge or them getting like standing up? Because that
Mm,
is what happens in this with something that's horrible that can happen to women, and it does happen a lot. But
mhm.
isn't it like horror is a place to like deal with trauma in a safe space? Like seeing that revenge seems like it's kind of freeing in some ways too. You
Yeah.
know?
But there are some movies that use rape as a tool and not necessarily they don't use it the way they should be using it.
No, I agree.
And
You'll hear me on my podcast sometimes say the 80s are really rapey. And it's always
mhm,
about movies like that utilize it wrong, that are
yeah,
just it's more of the misogynistic view. I don't think I Spit on Your Grave was a misogynistic movie. It's like kind of what
no,
I'm saying. It's a
yeah,
hard watch though. It's really hard to watch.
yeah,
But it's good points though. But I know what you mean too. It's some of them seem like they're exploitative the way that they go
exactly.
about things.
Yeah. Um like and the way they sometimes show the rape in or the sexual assault in movies, it's almost like they're using that as the horror. And it's like, oh, we're gonna really show the rape because that's what horror fans want. Like it's gonna make people go like not be able to watch it, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, like don't use that as a tool to be your horror. It's
Well, what do you think of Irreversible then? Because that's exactly what Irreversible does.
I haven't seen it, so that's
Oh, you should
next on my
see it,
list. Yeah.
because that one, like what you're saying there, if they're filming it wrong, then
Mhm.
because what they should be
That's
doing,
exactly what I'm saying.
Irreversible makes like they're very graphic. They really show it to the point that CGI is used to
Okay.
show certain things, but
Mhm.
it makes it hurt. It makes it so uncomfortable and distressing that it works for everything else in the film.
See,
Like,
and it's movies that like where even like the remakes of Last House on the Left and Straw Dogs just didn't get it right. Well, Last House on the Left, was that rape? I
They
can't.
got that one right. I actually liked that one. That's the one where the parents take revenge because the girl's
Right.
dead.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
I like that one.
I just feel like the remakes just didn't do it the way, I don't know. There was just something different about them. And
I know
I
what you're
love
saying. They stylize things too much. It's like what they did with the Texas Chainsaw remake. Like
mhm.
they amp up the violence and they forget the social tone.
I can't put my
So
I can't put my finger on it, but you're definitely right there. And there's a movie I watched recently that I'm literally on my phone trying to find right now that does it fucking horrible, and I can't. It's one that people talk really highly of, and I will find it the next time you're talking about your movie.
actually,
But
can I
I
have
will be
1 minute
listening.
and can I have 1 minute and I'll be back while you look for it then?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
I'll be
great.
right back.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
All
Yeah,
good.
I don't know if I'm gonna find it right now, but I will just
I'm
kind of
curious. Put it in the notes on the show. Link it.
I will. So I guess it's my number
You're
three.
three.
So my number three is one of my obvious choices that I thought of right away, obviously. Um, Furiosa, or first name I can't pronounce, Imperator Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron in Mad Max Fury Road. Obviously, this is a Film Vault favorite. Not as good as World War Z, though. I'm totally kidding. That's something Brian would say.
I know that reference.
It's like Captain America. I get that reference. So
Mm-hmm.
and a great. I have the whole pop vinyl collection for this movie. I just obviously I love Mad Max. I have the poster on my wall. Um, came out the year. Sorry, I feel like my voice is just going, and I apologize to everybody listening. But so anyway, so Furiosa, obviously I don't really have to explain that very well.
She's
Very
amazing.
much. She's incredible. So number 3B are two women named Josie Ames and Glory, played by Charlize Theron and Frances McDormand from the movie North Country, which is people don't seem to talk about this movie enough. It's based on a true story, and I absolutely love this movie. And I don't know why it's not talked about enough, but it's about women working in a predominantly male environment, and there is sexual assault happening, and nobody is talking about it. And Charlize Theron's character Josie tries to talk about it, and goes. It ends up going to court, but she's got none of the women on her side because they don't want to talk about it. But I think it's a really great movie. So, uh, yeah, definitely give that a watch. Have you seen North Country?
I have not seen North Country, but you're kind of selling me on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I know of the movie. I know that it was up for Oscars. Like I think Francis was up for an Oscar for it.
Well, her performance and her character arc in the movie are quite incredible. So,
See it. I
her
like movies like this. I thought Women Talking was a brilliant movie, so I should see North Country.
yeah, you should. And it does kind of turn into a court drama a little bit. And I love court drama. I'm definitely drawn to them. So, yeah, so that's my 3 and 3B.
All right.
What say you?
What say me? Those are good movies, except for I haven't seen North Country. I
Yes.
love Mad Max. Mad Max is amazing. So I guess I'm going to my number 2 here,
Yes.
which I'm curious if you have a Scott brother as a director on your list at all. You might,
Nope.
but I've got. Well, you don't.
Nope.
Okay, but you went. That's the two obvious like answer.
Yeah.
But the Scott brothers, they direct people pretty well because Tony Scott had Miss Alabama Worley, who I think is a badass bitch, played by Patricia Arquette in True Romance.
Yeah.
I love True
Thought
Romance.
about it, but didn't. I thought about it, but you see, I have a couple obvious ones on my list, but I tried to not also.
Alabama is a ride or die. And
Yeah.
she is the ride or die that's on my list because her and Clarence, they could be Bonnie and Clyde going on their whole spree. They could be like just living in a suburb. She's there, they're in love, and she's gonna be. You see how she fights in the movie,
Exactly.
like for the things that she loves, believes in, and everything. She fights. She even will shoot a cop. She does in the movie, and in the original ending, I still think she would have been a badass, like going off and raising the kid alone and everything.
Yeah.
She's just that kind of character. I
Yeah.
love Alabama. And I've watched that movie so many times. And that's a movie that I'm worried doesn't get watched enough and it could disappear even.
Yeah.
And it's got like the best cast ever. I
Oh,
know
for sure.
Film Vault
Yeah.
listeners are like, everybody watches that.
Yeah, they're like, we get it. Okay, you don't have to say anymore. And I feel like that's like most of ours on our list, where it's like, yeah, we know. Okay.
Yeah,
But-
kind of. But like, if it was out there to other people, it's one that it's kind of insulated. It's still like a little bit of a cult classic, and it should be a mainstream classic. But
Okay,
that's good on that one.
I need to take 1 minute to just let my dogs in. They're staring at me from outside. One moment.
No problem.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all good.
Hi. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're okay. Like, dude, I'm not married. I don't have like kids or anything. Actually, you can leave this in here. One of the things that Giovanni said that really resonated with me on the podcast that you guys did, and I identified with, it made me think about a lot of things.
Mhm.
I don't have any kids, I don't have a marriage or anything like that. I don't have like some big important job or anything like that. Movies
Right.
are the most important thing to me. They kind of are the reason that I get up in the morning and kind of, I don't know, get out of bed a little
Yeah.
bit. I exercise and I watch them. I watch like 3 movies a day for the most part. So it is
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, it's just that thing. Like it's the big thing there. And to some people, might sound silly, but these are like my kids.
Yeah.
I like spreading them to younger people too. I got some friends with kids. I love watching movies with like my friend Victoria's kids. We watched Mad
Yeah.
God together and Psycho Gorman. And they're the one that she
Two
lets watch
great
them.
picks.
Well, she lets her 6-year-old watch them. Deadstream was one they loved too. I pick ones like that though too. The bad stuff in it, it's not bad. You know what I mean?
Wait. 6 years old? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. He loves them.
my
He loves them.
youngest is like he loves like creepy things, and I'll catch him watching YouTube stuff where I'm like, dude, you can't watch that stuff. And but my oldest is scared of everything. So it's such a difference.
Well, she has ones that aren't scared. Like she has a 3-year-old that will just ask for killer clowns.
Oh my gosh.
But it's stuff like that they see.
Yeah.
It's not the bad stuff,
A little cartoony or like kind of over the top, like silliness, but
exactly.
still fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did think of the movie that I was
Excellent.
thinking of. So I love Martyrs. And I think they handled sexual abuse and rape very, very good in that movie. And it's like a revenge movie.
Mm-hmm.
But so after I watched Martyrs, I said, I love this movie, 4.5 stars for me. I went and I watched Incident in a Ghostland. And I think the rape in that movie is portrayed horribly, and it is used as a crutch. And it really rubbed me the wrong way.
I hate that movie.
Yeah, me too.
I feel the same way about it. That movie, I felt dirty after watching it.
Yeah.
But not in the way that made me think. Which,
No,
like I Spit on Your Grave, got my brain going about things and thinking about like why the things affected me that way. That movie was just ugly and gross.
Exactly. So I'm glad you agreed, because I loved Martyrs. So I'm like, oh, this. And then that same director, he hasn't really done a whole lot since Incident in Ghostland.
No. Martyrs was kind of like a Hellraiser movie too, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has a lot in common with Hellraiser. It's a good movie.
Yeah,
but
I love that movie.
But those people that do the extreme things, sometimes it doesn't always hit. Like High Tension's one that does not hit for me.
Yeah,
I don't like that movie.
That
reminds me of Incident in Ghostland a lot.
Yep.
So those aren't my cup of tea.
I watched all 3 of those movies for my October, like 31 days of October last year. And then so I loved Martyrs, and I had started High Tension once a couple years ago and never finished it. It was a really bad copy or something. I had it on DVD and the subtitles weren't working. So I was like, okay, I'll people talk about this movie so highly. And so then when I finally got around to watching it like 3 years later, I hated it. And I didn't hate it, but I don't like it. And I was like, I don't understand the love for this movie.
No, neither do I. And I can't say I hate it. I'd put it at like a 3 out of 5, but like that's like a 1 for the amount of hype it gets.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't get it. There's so many movies that are better than that. So
I agree. Like Martyrs.
Exactly. Or Irreversible, which we talked about before. That one really pushes your limits as an audience member.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
You do. It's a one-time watch. You won't want to watch it again. I've seen it 3 times. One of the times, though, was because it was playing in a theater just recently, and I had to. I'm like, okay, I'll go to see it at a midnight show.
Oh, I know.
So
when a movie you love comes to theaters that you've never seen in theaters, it's like an obligation.
Not even one that I love, one that I know pushes my buttons, and it'll be an experience.
Yep, for sure.
Like I'd see Hereditary again, like in the theater now if it were playing.
100%. Yeah, I'd be right there. Like you kind of wait for their anniversaries now and just hope that the theater's like, for their 10-year anniversary, we're gonna put this back in theaters, like they're doing with Return of the Jedi. I can't wait to go see that. So,
or you need to have somebody that really loves film walk to their local place and set it up with them that one day a month or even one day a week that they can try to rent out a theater for an old movie like that. There's a place around me that does that, and it actually got really popular. That's where I watched Irreversible Even.
We just need to move and live near Florence and go when she rents out the theaters.
but when she rents it out, though, you can only play the certain things the theater has. I'm talking about like trying to get the rights for that movie once like a month or once a week or something and showing it. I think that more people should be doing that because it gets the whole group together, like the whole communal film watching. Anyway.
Exactly. No, I agree. And so you're number 2?
My number 2. I'm at my number 1.
Oh my God. This went faster than I thought it. Wait.
You're number 2. I had Alabama.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. I was like, did we skip someone?
No. We did because you didn't do your number 2.
Okay. So my number 2 is kind of one from my younger days, like my early teens. A woman I fell in love with, her beauty and her badassness at the same time. From Lord of the Rings, Arwen of Arendelle, played by Liv Tyler. I still remember that scene where she's on the horse. She's got Frodo, and he's foaming at the mouth, and she's saying the spells, and the horses are coming, and she keeps them at bay with the water. Oh my God, I love her so much, and she kind of becomes more of like a love interest in the sequels, but in the Fellowship of the Ring, she was so badass to me and so cool. I had to put her on here. I don't know if people will 100% agree with me but also in the later movies, she chose to not go with her father and the elves, and she wanted to stay here. Anyways,
Arwen stood up for herself. She did what she wanted.
Exactly.
She was her own woman, her own elf.
Yes, her own elf self. And my 2B is Claire, played by Aisling Franciosi, in The Nightingale, which just came out 4 years ago now. And
it's from the director of Babadook, right?
Yes, and this was her follow-up, and it is I personally like The Nightingale more than the Babadook. I'm not a huge Babadook fan.
I like both.
Yeah, I do like Babadook, but so Jennifer Kent is the director. I should say that, but she's a really good director, and I can't wait for whatever she makes. I will watch it. And this is another movie with some heavy sexual assault and a woman who works on getting revenge. And it kind of reminded me recently of, I can't remember now. Never mind. But anyways, I love The Nightingale. My brain just doesn't want to work today. I apologize, everyone.
You're doing good, man. Don't worry about it. You're putting too much pressure on yourself.
No, I know. I guess I'm getting sicker than I thought I was, because I can tell by the way I'm,
And people that do podcasts want to be perfect. You just want to have progress and be good.
Oh, but
just keep going.
I am perfect.
Yeah, you are good. Nobody's perfect, just like they said in Some Like It Hot.
I love that scene. So
Joey Brown is funny. My number 1?
Yes.
Oh, my number 1, actually, I don't really have an A-B for it, but it has 2 parts because this character has been in 2 movies, 41 years apart. This is the 1977 version of this is my favorite horror movie. I love Suspiria. That movie is amazing. Jessica Harper plays Susie, and it's actually introducing Jessica Harper in the movie. She is fantastic. In the remake from 2018, she's played by Dakota Johnson. The 77 version I like more, but I do like both.
I love both. Sorry, not to cut you off, but I love both. But I like the remake better, but not by much. Not by much.
I can understand it. It's the politics. Like, if they would have cut like some of the political stuff out of the remake and maybe made it like 15 minutes shorter by taking that stuff out, I would have liked it a lot more.
I can see that.
That's the only thing.
I ate it up
Yeah,
with a spoon. I don't always love those kind of movies where, but it's
it's
got a
almost a
vibe.
tone poem. It's
Exact.
almost a tone poem
I
movie because
don't.
there's so much weird stuff going on in
Mhm.
it. There's so much that I also dislike, but I even saw it in the theater twice when it came out. I
Awesome.
loved it.
Yeah,
Like it just worked.
it does.
But the original for me, I like more. I just like the way the color scheme is. The opening scene of the original is to me the best cold open in any horror movie. Scream being like number 2 for me.
Yeah.
But do you remember the cold open from Suspiria with
The
the
first
whole
one, no,
with
I
you don't
don't.
remember the stained glass window, a heart being stabbed, like they take out the ribs
Oh
and
my god.
everything, and
Yeah.
a still beating heart is stabbed,
Yeah.
and the way a corpse is hung. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like everything in that opening, like you got the corpse hanging in Scream, which is very, very, very similar to the corpse hanging in
Yeah.
Suspiria, which is why I kind of bring it up. Like I
Yeah.
think
No,
that
that's a
was an
good.
homage.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should rewatch that. You'll get stuck watching the whole movie, but it's only like 90 minutes or 89 minutes long. It's not long.
And
It's on
that's the
Tubi.
thing I want to say to people listening. If you only watched the remake and you let's say you didn't like it, go back and watch the original because they're kind of completely different.
They are completely different movies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the same subject matter, but
Hmm.
it's used different ways. But that's why I'm kind of fascinated at that remake,
Me
the way that
too.
they did it.
I'm fascinated that someone's like, you know what, I'm gonna remake this, but it's not gonna be the same, but it's gonna be similar, but it's not. I loved it. I love what they did because I watched the original first and then I watched the new one, and I just love what they did with both. So good pick, very good pick.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you. Yeah, it's my favorite horror movie, as I said. I just love Suspiria. And I know it doesn't completely make sense. It's hard to follow sometimes. It's got like weirdness to it, but I like Giallo movies too.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
like, they're just pulp. Like, Giallo means yellow in
yeah.
Italian. They're yellow movies, like Pulp Fiction, basically, is what it is.
Yeah, no, I
So,
I 100% agree. That's a really good pick.
thank you.
Didn't even come up in my also rans, so good job. Um, my number one is the most obvious one. Um, obviously played by Sigourney Weaver, Ripley. I can't think of a better, bigger, baddest bitch than Ripley, and I love her so much. My parents named her dog after my dog, their dog after her because I love her so much, and they like the name. So obviously Ripley from Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, and then Alien 4. No, it wasn't called Alien 4, was it?
Resurrection,
Resurrection. Yeah, I knew that was
written by
wrong.
Joss Whedon. I don't even
Yeah,
think that people realize that so much that Joss wrote an Alien movie
I actually
before
didn't
like
know that.
Avengers and shit. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
I
Before he got like kicked for being an asshole.
Yeah, I know. So Ripley, there's not much more to say. She kicks xenomorph ass. I'm a huge alien film fan. I love all of them pretty much. I forgive some of the later ones. And my 1B is a movie that most people probably haven't heard of. It's a movie called Violation, and the main girl is Miriam, played by Madeline Sims Fewer. Um, and Violation is a 2020 film. It really, really struck a chord with me, and some personal stuff that I won't get into, but it's definitely deals with sexual assault and maybe not being believed and stuff like that. It only has a 5.3 on IMDb. I don't get it, but I think it just resonated with me. So maybe that's why I love it more than a lot of people. But it's a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. It's not really a horror. Well, actually, it does become a horror for sure. There's a scene here where I almost had to like turn away where it's a kind of scene where I'm usually like, oh, okay, well, no, that's good. But this one definitely resonated with me. And the main girl, Madeline, played by Madeline Sims Fewer, she actually directed the film. And oh my God. And so yeah, so it's a double whammy there. She's my badass bitch, 5B. I mean 1B. So
Nice. Well, you did lie though. I asked you if you had a Scott brother thing on there, and you did. You said no. Because Tony Scott did True Romance, and Ridley Scott did Alien.
oh my God, I didn't even think of. I'm so
The
dumb because
Scott brothers.
I know, but as soon as you
That's all
said
good.
Scott, I immediately thought of Tony. That's for some reason.
No, Tony did True Romance, but actually,
Yes.
like for the ones, I would say that the biggest also ran on the trauma one is a Ridley Scott one as well. Thelma and
Last Duel?
Louise.
Oh, Thelma and Louise. Okay, yeah. I went with Last Duel.
Oh, I love Last Duel too.
Me
That's
too.
a great
Yeah.
movie. But
Yeah.
think of Thelma and Louise though.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I can't wait for that to come out on Criterion later this year.
Yeah.
That's such a good movie.
That is such a good movie. One I haven't seen since I've seen it on TV when I was really young, and my bisexual awakening seeing Brad Pitt in that movie definitely fell in love with him in that movie. So you got any also rans?
See, an also ran that I had is the movie that I was going to assign you, but I wasn't really thinking of the also rans with it so much.
Okay.
Thelma and Louise is like a big one that I was going with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got like Princess Leia, you got all these ones throughout movies. You got Jennifer Lawrence in Hunger Games. You got Gogo Yubari. There we go. There's a really good also ran. Gogo from Battle Royale.
Oh yeah.
And Gogo. So or no. Gogo from Kill Bill. She's the actress from Battle Royale too. I messed up there.
Oh okay.
Yeah, but Gogo Yubari from Kill Bill. There's a badass bitch. Yeah. Like with that spinning that spiked ball.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mia Wallace. There's a good one from Pulp Fiction.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, how do I know that name? My brain.
Mrs. Mia Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole history of cinema is littered with badass bitches. We're just getting better ones today.
I almost did like the whole all three women from Hidden Figures, which I did really like. Obviously,
I liked Hidden Figures.
Yeah, obviously Cassandra from Promising Young Woman, Sidney Prescott and Gail Weathers from Scream, and then two Emily Blunt roles that I kept seeing on lists were Sergeant Rita Verapsky from Edge of Tomorrow and Evelyn Abbott from A Quiet Place. Obviously, those are good. Yeah, the bath scene. I almost had her from A Quiet Place on here, and then Ready or Not, Samara Weaving's character.
Oh, I love her in that movie.
Yeah.
Love her in that movie.
Yeah, and then yeah, that's about it.
I've got one that I thought of. Oh wait, a new one that is out right now. It's very new, but Viola Davis as Mrs. Jordan in Air is one bad ass bitch. Really? I actually think that you should see that, and you might agree with me that she needs to be championed for Best Supporting Actress this year. Mm-hmm. So Woman King is not the best movie ever, but I honestly think she should have been nominated for it. So this year she's got Mrs. Jordan. She played her and she's phenomenal. I
think she's like our next Meryl Streep. I mean, I'm sure they're probably pretty close in age, but
she's got to win though.
Didn't she win for Fences?
Did she win for Fences? Am I wrong?
Am I wrong?
Because she should win more than she's got to win like a lot more because she deserves it. She's awesome.
While I'm looking it up, you can tell me, Best Supporting Actress for Fences. While I'm looking, no, I already looked it up. Never mind. And just the other one I had it down lower, so I didn't see it. So Maya, Jessica Chastain's character from Zero Dark 30, that was almost on my list too. So.
Oh yeah, Jessica Chastain in pretty much every movie she's in is badass. Molly's Game. Oh, in Molly's Game, she's badass. I love her in that one.
She's definitely carved a role for herself to play roles that are just top notch. incredible women. So I love her. She's a strong-willed actor.
She is a
So
national treasure.
what are you assigning me, sir?
I am assigning you Tragedy Girls. Tragedy Girls is a movie that came out the same day as Happy Death Day. I saw it in theaters. I thought the thing was awesome. I think on my podcast, I've mentioned it like 100 times. I love Tragedy Girls. It's about two girls that are best friends. They have a social media account that follows serial killers and stuff. So they kidnap a serial killer to teach them how to kill. And they want to start a killing spree to up their social media status.
Weird.
Alexandra Shipp is awesome in it. And Dennis Quaid's kid from the Scream movies, he's in it.
Yeah, Jack,
it's a fun movie. I think that it's the same kind of tone that you like a lot of the time. It's not like it's a funny horror movie, and it works. But yeah, I think that the tagline for it is, to make an omelet, you got to kill some ex-boyfriends.
You have been recommending this movie for me for so long, and I'm glad that you're making me watch it.
That's why I'm recommending it too, because I'm like, sometimes people watch it, sometimes people don't. I think that you'll really like it.
Yeah, I think I will too. I'm excited.
It's so good.
Thank you for making me watch it.
You're welcome. It's super gory too. They do not hold back on it. If you're thinking that it's going to be like, I tried to get this one group, this Joe Bob group, to watch it like years ago, and this one guy was like, "Oh, it's about girls. I don't want to watch it." And I was so like mad at that, actually, because I'm like, dude, if you gave it a chance, it's really hardcore with the gore. So it stands up. It's a good movie. But I also hate it when people dismiss things like that. So anyway.
Well, you've assigned so many movies to Anderson and Brian. Why haven't you assigned this to them?
Because I don't think that they're going to like it that much. And here's the thing too. I'm kind of stuck with something now, because Bald Brian said something on the podcast after Ikuru, which I assigned them. He just said, please keep assigning me Kurosawa movies to everyone. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm assigning you Kurosawa movies until like the show ends, is what I decided. So I'm the Kurosawa guy now.
Okay, well, no, that's good. And it's
they liked them. Hidden Fortress was the last one they watched from Kurosawa, and they both like that too. So he's got like 40 movies.
Oh yeah, I like doing when you do that, because it pushes them into my, okay, well then I definitely should watch this if Andrew said it. So
Paul Bryan as well is watching an old movie that is subtitled, and he says he loves it. I think everybody should check it out then, because that means it's very mainstream. It resonates today, and it's something that kept him interested. And he does fall out of interest with movies like that sometimes. He'll be like, "Oh, boring." So he does that.
I agree. He does.
Yeah, but for him to go, keep assigning me Kurosawa, I'm like, all right, Brian. Like, I didn't think he was going to say that. I thought he was going to be like, "Oh, this movie was a chore." But Ikuru, I don't know. I was hoping with that one that it would really resonate with Brian.
No, I agree.
Empty Man, I assigned them too. So I did give them a horror movie, and I was thinking about Tragedy Girls, but I was thinking like, what would be better for the show?
Yeah. Look at you thinking about this show.
Plus,
what a good listener.
Well, okay, but listeners on Patreon though, my next one that I had queued up after Ikuru was going to be Suspiria. Somebody assigned them that. And I'm like, all right, I'll do Suspiria remake. They assigned them that. I'm like, cool, I guess I'm just doing Kurosawa stuff. Or actually, no, that's how Ikuru got on there, because I'm like, cool, I guess Ikuru then.
Yeah.
So, and now I'm in that. I would have done Suspiria.
That's awesome. I don't think they'll, they usually will, since I do so much work for them, they'll be like, okay, well, just every once in a while, if you want to sign us a movie, like, let us know. And I haven't done it since Alien versus Predator.
You should, but just, I don't know. Think about like what they're into, because I don't want them to negatively review what I'm sending them either. I'm kind of like, oh God, please don't, because Empty Man, that was a little bit of a stretch for them, but that one I wanted people to see.
But that movie has like, you could just watch the opening again and again. That movie has a 5-star opening, like the first half an hour. I think the whole movie's good, but
so do I.
That cold open is incredible.
Yes, it's one of that's one of the best cold opens. I'm a sucker for a good cold open, I guess.
Hey, get it? Cold open. because it's cold.
Oh, it's very cold in that one. Oh yes, it's empty. It's so cold. It's even empty.
Oh my god. I did it to you. You had to do it to me. So go ahead. Tell us about the TikTok. Where can we find you? Plug.
Okay, the TikTok is just at Sinema Cult, and you could also find it at just searching the Cult of Cinema. And watch out for a podcast that's going to be coming. I haven't gotten that completely together because I'm about to do a move to Washington State in like a week and a half.
Oh, really?
So I'm moving back there to actually be a caregiver for a quadriplegic 24/7.
Oh wow!
But he only needs like 3-4 hours a day for real.
You got time for your movies.
Yeah, he's 40 and he's a gamer. So it's not like, it's a different situation, a friend of a friend. So yeah, I'm going to do that. But yeah, we're building a theater there actually, like with a 150-inch projector and Dolby Atmos.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's also it's an arcade in the back of the theater that we're kind of building in his little, there's a tiny home on his lot too, and a hot tub. So it's going to be fun.
That's awesome. I mean, well, good luck with that. I mean, you and I talk quite a bit, so I'm excited to hear about that journey. And I didn't even know about it, or maybe you had told me, and I
haven't been telling people so much about it. I've been kind of taking classes to be a nurse's aide.
That's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. That's you know what I mean. Not just I was going to say at your age, but I mean also like even at my age to just go back to school or taking classes. I think that should be commended because there's a million things I want to go back to school for and wish I had taken in school instead of business. You know, it's so for people who go back over the age of 25, even, I commend them. So
yeah, and I'm over 40.
And I did not mean that as an old joke.
No, it's okay. I'm only 43. That's not old. If anyone says that, I'd be like, I got years left that are still good.
Well, Grandpa, you're still 10 years older than me. So
yeah, I'm still like a little tiny bit younger than Eric Holmes. Woohoo.
You're going to get so much shit from Gio, Eric now.
Hey, it's fine. It's fine. Eric can say whatever he wants. Gio, send me like whatever. I'm findable all over the place. Well, I've got an Instagram too. The Sinema Cult, like the Cult of Cinema is different, and you got to spell it with an S too. Sinema. Okay, it goes better. It's catchy, you know.
Yep, I think I already follow you on everything, but you definitely taken me down a rabbit hole on a bunch of horror movies, and I really thank you for that because I fucking love horror, as you know. We converse quite a bit about that. And I'm glad you brought it to the program so some other people can definitely check these movies out.
Hey, that's what podcasts are. It's a service. It's a public service that they try to do because, you know, streaming services aren't really going to tell us the good things to watch.
No,
they're just going to tell us the new things.
Exactly. And what they want you to, what they want the numbers on, you know, it's all a game now, but.
Yep. And critics aren't that great either. I think it's actually the what they call like the amateurs. That's where I really want to get my information from.
Yeah. Honestly. And that's why I love the Film Vault, not saying they're amateurs, like they've had hours, hundreds of hours of movie watching, but they both bring something different to the table. And, you know, they like what they like. They watch different things and they're not snobby. So you get a really good mix, you know, even though Anderson can be called a hipster some days, but
sometimes he's just got particular taste and it's good taste. And I honestly think that like he should cover those small things and find them because he's such a good voice for that. So like it's very good when he focuses on that because
that's what I think his taste. Yeah, I think he's trying to do that this year with the whole five remakes and stuff.
I'm still trying to get him to go to see Dracula though. More people should get on that. My bad. Fuck, my bad. It's fine. Renfield. I'm gonna guess that the Film Vault Rotten Tomatoes score on that from the listeners is gonna be around 100% too.
I literally just got my notification saying, hey, you have to do fan fiction.
I will vote that movie was a hell of a lot of fun. And I don't like CGI blood that often. I actually kind of dug it in Dracula, how they used it. It was inventive.
I
had
really
fun.
hated it in that vampire movie on Netflix with Jamie Foxx.
Oh, I hate it in that movie. That's the one that I was thinking about with Dracula. I was actually like, that's The Last Shift or something like that.
Yeah,
Not The Last
the
Shift.
night shift or
Night Shift.
something. The
Yeah.
blood in that pissed me off, and maybe it's better on a bigger screen. I don't know, but it just did not work. And I was like, and people, most of my friends love that movie, and I was like, guys, no, but it has. I think some people. I think it has its following. So
It's a Netflix thing. People like Brightburn too. I don't agree. But
I didn't
Renfield,
hate Brightburn, but
it
it's like
could
a
have been
3-star
better.
movie. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so too.
Netflix is kind of like that. They make a lot of 3-star movies.
Agreed.
But
Well,
Renfield, I'm
I
curious
gotta.
though.
Yeah,
100%. All
I
right, do your
will.
stuff.
Okay.
Thank you for chatting too.
No, thank you, Andrew. This has
Hey,
been amazing. So I will be watching Tragedy
Tragedy
Girls.
Girls.
I will have that at the end of not this episode, the end of another episode. I'm
Yeah, you
doing
got
things a
very
little
limited.
weird. Yeah. So I'm doing things a little differently. But this episode will be out in 2 weeks. So, but thanks everyone for listening. Gotta love Andrew Martin. You've probably heard his name before, right, Andrew? I mean,
Couple times.
yeah, Anderson brings you up quite a bit.
He
And
does. Even though I'm cantankerous sometimes, but man, when people
cantankerous.
hear me, my tone when I'm talking, I think it's much different when they hear it, when they see what I type sometimes.
Oh,
They
I
don't hear the
completely agree.
laughter.
I've seen
They
some
don't
of
hear the
your
laughter.
no, some of your posts, like you've said on like on the Hollywood persona, like you've typed some things and I'm like, okay, I gotta understand that that's from Andrew, and not like someone trying to be, mean-hearted, mean-spirited. So
No, I just have a sense of humor a little bit, and it's always from a good spot.
yeah, and text is so hard to understand, like the what's that word?
The
Lean
tone.
with
It's
words
so
today. The
hard to get the
tone.
tone
Thank
in
you.
them. Yep. I realize it.
So you can follow the Film Vultures on Facebook and Instagram, and the Linktree is on both of those sites. So if you go to Instagram or Facebook and you find us on there, you can find me. You can find the Linktree, and it'll link you to the Film Vault and everywhere you can find me and all that stuff. So definitely go and give me a follow. Subscribe to the podcast, rate the podcast 5 stars. Or if you don't like me, let me know. I mean, and I always put the email down there that you can email me at. So if you want to bitch about Andrew or you want to bitch about me from this episode, you definitely can.
Absolutely.
So definitely do it. Thanks everyone for listening. We will see you next episode. Stop. No, stop. There we go.
Cool. That was good.
Yeah.
I remember you messaged me once asking if I typed out my podcast or took notes or anything before.
Yeah.
No, I